Basque Senator Gorka Diaz. Thanks for joining us today and thanks for accepting that interview, first of all.
Hello, the pleasure is mine. Gorka Elejabarrieta here from the Basque Country. Very pleased to be with you today.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. As you follow up the developments in Turkey, first of all, I would like to ask the Kurdish leader, Mr. Abdullah Öcalan's call for peace and democratic society. In your opinion, what were the impacts and reflections of this call? How important is this call, first of all?
Well, in my opinion, this is a very important call. I will say historic in the terms of Kurdish politics, because Abdullah Öcalan, even if he has been in prison for several years, decades, he is with no doubt the leader of the Kurdish movement. And the fact of having the leader of the Kurdish movement making such a strong call, showing such a strong commitment for peace, it's a very important step forward. To me, you can compare that call to the role that Nelson Mandela also played from prison on the process of South Africa to democracy.
Thank you so much. Secondly, as you know, very recently, the Kurdish movement also announced its withdrawal from the ZAP region as well after burning arms ceremony. How do you evaluate these steps taken by the Kurdish movement to ensure that the peace process progresses in a healthy manner?
I think the Kurdish movement is showing a lot of courage, because you need courage and commitment in order to move forward a process on which the role of Turkey and the position that Turkey will take is not so clear. So, in my opinion, both the call of Abdullah Öcalan and the developments that have taken place later from the Kurdish movement, they show that we are facing an historic moment on which there is a possibility, there is a window of opportunity to reach a lasting peace scenario in Kurdistan. But in order to do so, my belief, my opinion is that together with the Kurdish movement, the other political actors involved in the conflict, they have to make similar steps forward in order to establish a dialogue process that will bring negotiations and that will bring comprehensive agreements, because we are speaking about a political conflict. If you take out the violence of the picture, that might help dialogue, but it doesn't solve per se the political conflict. And we need commitment from every actor in the conflict in order to establish a process that will bring us closer to a lasting peace scenario in Kurdistan.
Another important issue is about the legal right to hope, basically. It's a life hope, has still not been implemented for Kurdish leader Mr. Abdullah Öcalan. Could you address the urgency and the importance of fulfilling the right to hope for Öcalan? Along with this, what would be your appeal to the Turkish state for enforcing universal human rights for Abdullah Öcalan?
Yeah, these kind of processes, they need to look into the causes of the conflict as well as to the consequences of the conflict. That is clear. And the issue of prisoners, it's always an issue that has to be dealt with. Can anyone imagine a lasting peace scenario in Northern Ireland with the Republican prisoners in prison, or a lasting peace scenario in South Africa with Nelson Mandela and his comrades in prison? No, no one. So in the case of Kurdistan, it is the same. The issue of political prisoners has to be solved. But on top of that, Abdullah Öcalan is the leader of the Kurdish movement. And in order to be able to participate in the process that could bring a lasting peace scenario to the Kurdistan, he has to be released. He has to have the possibility of taking part in this process as a free man. And I think that Turkey has to look at it from this perspective, from the perspective of conflict resolution. There is a historic opportunity, and in order for this historic opportunity to bring a lasting peace scenario, every actor has to get involved in the process. And for that, we believe that Abdullah Öcalan has to be released as soon as possible. The sooner, the better, so that he can join his movement and he can participate in this peace process.
Thank you so much. A very important issue is basically many people are saying that the roots of this conflict is basically denying of the existence of the Kurds. So these days, a century-long policy of the denying the Kurdish people is being questioned. The inclusion of the Kurdish people's existence and rights into the legal and constitutional order is very important topic. So what should the Turkish state administration do in this regard? What should be the path and method for the incorporating the Kurdish people into the legal system in Turkey?
Yeah, again, I mean, these processes, they have a security dimension and they have a political dimension. Nobody can deny in 2025 that the Kurdish people exist, that Kurdistan is a nation without a state, but a nation. There are similar conflicts all around the world, and the conclusion to us is clear. In order to have a comprehensive process in Kurdistan that will bring a more secure, more democratic society, the Kurdish people has to be acknowledged. And together with the Kurdish people, its language, its culture. The Kurdish people has to be acknowledged as a political entity. And there are different ways to do so. I am not entitled to say how this has to be done. I think this is something that has to be discussed between the Kurdish movement and the Turkish authorities, and this discussion should bring into an agreement. But it is clear to us that there is need for constitutional change. It is clear to us that there is need for a more comprehensive society in Turkey that will acknowledge that the Kurdish exist, that the Kurdish language exists, that they are a people within Turkey and beyond.
This topic is something that you highly experience and would like to ask you that one as well. What is the Basque Country model and how does it work? How did the peace process operated in Basque, and what are the similarities and differences with the current Kurdish struggle? I know it's a very big topic, but if you can try to very briefly explain us, we would be very happy.
Yes, so I will try to make a long history short. So, some basic concepts. The Basque Country is an stateless nation. It's distinct to the Spanish nation. We have our own language, our own culture, and the desire of being a political subject with the right to decide our future freely. So there is and there has been a conflict for many decades between Spain and the Basque Country. And this conflict has been on the relation that the Basque Country should have with Spain and France. As you probably know, the Basque Country is divided into two different states. One part of the Basque Country belongs to Spain, the other to France. So this conflict has had different phases during the years. And we are in a progressive process. So at the moment, the Basque Country has an autonomy, limited autonomy, but we have our own parliaments, two parliaments, the Basque Autonomous Community Parliament and the Parliament of Navarre. We have some capacity to make some laws. Our language is official in long parts of our country, though still not in the whole of the Basque Country. We have fiscal autonomy. So in this progressive process, we have managed to make a step forwards, and we have managed to gain some recognition over the years, always as an outcome of a struggle. but still we are far from where we would like to be. In our opinion, the road for the Basque Country in the future and in the present is to continue this path, this progressive path towards the recognition of the Basque Country as a nation with the right to self-determination. So our strategy, our tactic is the following. If we are here and the independence of the Basque Country is here, we are going step by step. And this is what we are trying to do at the moment.
Thank you so much. That was very clear. With a short briefing explanation as well, could you please talk about considering the Basque Country peace process? What should the Kurds pay attention to at this point?
Well, there are not two conflicts alike. Each conflict has its own specificities, so there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So you cannot just take what we did in the Basque Country and do it in Kurdistan, because it will not have the same effect. Having said that, it is true as well that there are some lessons learned which I think might be of use for different contexts. In our case, when we were involved in the peace process, we had a close look to the processes of South Africa and the north of Ireland. And we had very close relation with the Republican movement in Ireland and with the liberation movement in South Africa. So first, in my opinion, is from what we have learned to keep your friends close, to keep your allies close, to keep a constant contact with other national liberation movements with whom you can consult, you can discuss, and you can look at different options when approaching your own conflict. Second, in our case at least, keeping the attention of the international community, because these processes are very asymmetric, and the force of Turkey compared to the force of the Kurdish movement is much higher. So one way of trying to overcome this asymmetry is getting international community involved in the process on different roles, but to be part of it so that we can counter this existing asymmetry. I think, in our opinion, for us, it was also always very important to speak to our own people. Gerry Adams once said that the most difficult negotiations are always with your own people. So internal cohesion is a very important factor. In these processes, it's very important to bring your own movement with you and to bring this movement in a cohesive way and to explain everybody within the movement why certain decisions are being taken, why the process is moving in such a way or another. So to keep a constant dialogue with your own people. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is always to have a clear political strategy. This political strategy is long-term, but it also has mid-term and short-term goals, and to look at them. And from time to time, to remember those strategic goals, and to ask yourself whether you are closer or not, whether you are stronger or not. And I think that the Kurdish movement knows better than anyone what's the best for the Kurdish people. So I'll end this answer by saying that it is very important to listen to many people, to meet with as many people as possible, but take your own decisions yourself. Nobody knows better than the Kurdish people what is best for Kurdistan.
Thank you so much. That was clear and to the point. Lastly, shortly, briefly, what message would you like to send to Kurdish leader Mr. Abdullah Öcalan through our TV channel? He might be watching this, or maybe in the future he will be able to watch this. So what would you like to tell him?
I like to tell him to keep up the hope, to keep up the struggle. What he's doing and what the Kurdish movement is doing is very brave. He has put, like always, the interest of the Kurdish people up front. And he has to remember that he's not alone. He has the support of many in Kurdistan, but also the support of many abroad. And the Basque movement and the Basque people strongly supports the Kurdish movement in its struggle for democracy, in its struggle for freedom. And we strongly support also Mr. Abdullah Öcalan and his rights to become a free man again and to have the possibility to lead its people from freedom.
Thank you so much, Gorka Diaz, Basque Country Senator. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments.
Thank you.